Good morning and welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable with Origin Point. Today I'm here with Julie White with At Properties. Welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm glad that we have this chance to just discuss the market.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about our industry. We're going to talk about what makes us different and what our challenges might be.
Absolutely.
So let's we're
Thanks.
going to chat it
Dive
out
in.
today. Yeah.
All right.
One of the first questions I want to ask you is, what is one thing that buyers often misunderstand about the buying process?
So I think a lot of times buyers have incorrect expectations when they're going in for the process, right? It can look very glamorous and it's so much fun, right? You're going to buy a new home, but I think they misunderstand all the work that needs to be done ahead of time to be ready for that buying process so that they can be competitive and be successful.
Agree.
How about you?
I feel like it's timing, right? I feel like they don't fully understand the timing of the process. And I feel like it's our job to educate them on, and you obviously do, on that timing and how do we set their expectation correctly.
Absolutely.
So that they know when time is of the essence, you got to move quickly. You got to make decisions quickly. You got to get your paperwork quickly and that kind of stuff.
Right. Which is that preparation, right? And I love that you take the time, I think, to meet with my new buyers especially and have that conversation and lead them through the process.
I don't know if I've ever told you this, but, well, I'm going to tell all of you folks that one of the little secrets about Julie is that she used to be a teacher.
Yes.
Right? In your past life.
I did. Yeah.
And,
lifetime ago.
And I'm married to a teacher. And so I feel like I'm pretty good about teaching our clients about the process. And one of the things I tell them as a joke in terms of going back to what we're talking about in terms of timing and expectations is I say, oh, by the way, I pay my team to chase you down for paperwork. And if you're not producing the paperwork in a timely manner, they're going to let me know.
That's awesome.
And when I know and you get a call from me, it's because you're in the principal's office. And then they laugh, and that's like a lighthearted way for me to say,
but like nudge.
You need to be dialed in right now.
Totally. That's a great. I never knew you did that.
Yep.
Love it.
So in terms of, setting those expectations, can you kind of go through what you do in your either buyer prep or even seller prep to get them to understand this process? What is your process?
Yeah, definitely. And I think some of that is the value I can bring to my clients is making sure that like the work, and it's a lot of work sometimes, the pre-market, right, or the pre-buying, putting that time in ahead of time to make it successful when we're going through it. So for my buyers, I actually just had a buyer meeting consult yesterday with them, and it's just, honestly, it's setting the expectations for what it looks like in the current market right now. And every buyer's different. All of their goals are different. What they're looking for can be different. So obviously, it's not a one size fits all. I have to curtail and adjust what I need to depending on what their goals are. However, I do think it's so important, though. Knowledge is power, right? But it just letting them know what the process, kind of an overview, what it's going to look like. But then also, okay, here are the things that you really need to do first. And the person yesterday hadn't even spoken to a lender yet, so which is a great opportunity. And I told her I'm going to send you my number one recommendation, Mike, of course, so that you can reach out and start having that conversation, because that's honestly one of the first and most important parts of buying a home is knowing what you can afford, what you're comfortable affording. And that's what I told them too. Like, make sure you know what your average like monthly payment you want to be, right? And so doing that, but then obviously all the other details that go into the home buying process, from inspections, from attorney review period, from house hunting, and the different resources I help with those things, getting them to the area and the type of home that they're looking for. So lots of questions, lots of just listening to them and what they're looking for is, I think, a good way to start.
Do you do that in the form of like a consultation in the office or like at their home?
It totally varies. Honestly, it's up to them. So these clients actually I met, which is awesome, but I met them at an open house. And they've seen me a few times, and they gave me an email, I think like a couple weeks ago, and said, hey, we're ready to like be serious. We want to work with you. What do we need to do? And I said, well, let's meet. I knew they were from the city. So I had said, if it's easier for you, we can get on a Zoom call or a phone call, whatever works best for you. And so we ended up doing like a Zoom just for, convenience sake for them, so they didn't have to come into the suburbs. But
it's no surprise to me that you picked up a client off of just an open house because of the way you carry yourself and make yourself approachable and warm, and the fact that someone connected to you in an open house, that does not surprise me.
Well, you're very kind and sweet, but I love people, and believe it or not, so many people, it's so funny, but they told me when I got into real estate, you got into real estate because you love people. Just wait, you're not going to love. And honestly, I still do. So I'm thankful for this job that I love. So.
I'm with you on the people thing. I feed off the energy of others. And when I can offer something that's valuable to them,
Exactly.
I feel like at the end of the day, I feel really good in my heart. Like, oh, I helped these folks to accomplish a goal that they really were trying to do. And I did it the right way, and they feel good about it. And then I feel great about it.
Definitely.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
My least favorite thing about the job is paper chasing, which is why I have a team, because
sure.
that's not my favorite thing. But
Right.
I love to coach people through the process and really walk them through it and how to do it the right way. Like when you refer a customer to me, you already know how I do this, which is, I think, why it works really well with us is that I walk them through the numbers and their budget. I talk to them about what are you comfortable with spending on a monthly basis? Right. And if you take on that payment, can you still save for retirement along the way? And so we talk at length about the budget and the monthly payment and the affordability. My goal is so that they're fearless at the end of that conversation. I want them to be able to get in your car and go look at properties and feel good and feel confident. And they're supposed to have fun. They're buying a home.
Absolutely.
And if I feel it's my job to prepare them properly so that by the time they get back to you and go look at properties, they are excited. The anxiety's down because I've walked through everything they need to know, the process, the numbers, all the steps, and then they can do it and do it without fear and be excited about it.
Yeah, I definitely. And that's why I think buyers are so comfortable in the process when they have already met with you because they have all of that, information, and then they are able to enjoy the buying process, right? Because they know what their expectations and stuff are when they're looking, for sure.
Are there any tips that you give your customers on how, especially in today's market, what it's going to take to be competitive?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go on the seller side if that's okay.
Yeah.
But that I think is something so important. I had someone, it was on social media, I think, in an area that I work in a lot, and they had said, we need an agent just to help us, but we want it discounted, and we know our house is going to sell quickly because it's such a great market for sellers, and it's all updated. So in my mind, I right away, I'm like, you're leaving money on the table. If you're okay with getting discounted service and you want a discount, you're not going to get the level of service that you need or deserve. But I also feel like you're leaving money on the table because even if your house is updated, your marketing, is that going to be updated? Are you going to have the best marketing and person representing you and getting you the best deal? Not necessarily. So that's something that I think sellers really need to understand. Yes, it's a seller's market because of the low inventory. However, you can definitely add value to your home and to the experience in selling it with who you have as an agent. And if their photos are fuzzy, or if they, aren't marketing it to as many people as possible, you're not getting the best price possible. And so I think that's something with sellers, especially now. Yeah, I can get it sold, but I want to get you the best price possible. And so that's where I think I come in and work hard in the beginning, and just those little details. And that's something I had in my notes a lot, actually. Details matter. And especially in selling your home, buyers notice those details and you don't even realize what they notice. And so many sellers, even when I come in, I'm like, okay, what about this? And they're like, oh my word, we never noticed that in our home. And I said, I get it, because you live here and your perspective is different, but a buyer's perspective, I'm trying to give you that information so that way you can get the best price possible with, your home and you're obviously your asset that you've poured into. So
I think the other thing, Julie, that you bring to the table is just you are hyper local, and you know the market really, really well, and you know all the little nuances that it's going to take to get the most exposure and to make the deal go smoothly, and because of the years of experience that you have, you know what to look for. They don't know that, right? They're a seller and they're thinking, I just want to sell this place and I know it's going to sell quick because it's a seller's market. But what they don't know is kind of what you said, the devil's in the details.
Right.
And all those things that you see ahead of time that they don't necessarily see
Right.
are the things that you bring to the table, right? To make the deal go smoother. And if you do it really well, they probably don't even realize that you are foreseeing all the things that need to be done ahead of time. And they're probably like, yeah, I could have done this on my own because you made it so smooth they didn't even realize it.
Hopefully they realize the value that I add. Usually they're so appreciative, and it comes to a good, ending.
You know how they say about like a professional athlete, when you see a professional athlete do something outstanding, they make it look easy, and it's
Right.
not easy. You
Right.
make it look easy.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That I would say the same for you. Okay, something I want to ask you: what are tools or strategies that you offer to support agents like us grow our business?
Yeah, cool. Well, I think just to help grow your business, I feel like just staying in touch. We do a really good job staying in touch with our past clients, whether it's not just mailings, but outreach, actual conversations after the closing. I tell my customers, I'm a contact for you well beyond the closing. You can call the 800 number on your monthly statement, and you may get what you need when you ask questions, but you're far better off calling me, and I'll answer the question quickly and accurately. You might just get a knucklehead on the other end of the line on an 800 number. I'm here to help you. I don't care if it's 2 weeks after closing or 2 years after closing. Please reach out to me. I'm a resource for you, and I want to help you. So I think that helps you build your business simply from the fact that you recommended someone who genuinely cares about your client.
I think that's great. I
And
love that
then
you offer that.
We do events, and
Right.
we try to invite our past customers to events if it's local for them. And, and then I'm aggressive in trying to get my customers to refinance to save them money. So like we watch the market for our customers. And when it makes sense for them to refinance, we proactively reach out and say, look, there's enough money on the table here for you to be considering refinancing. Again, just adding value, saying, look, you don't have to chase and follow it every day. We do that for you, and we'll reach out.
I think that's great. And that's honestly, it's a reflection for me then if I'm recommending you to clients and they have such a wonderful experience. And then they also have those touches later on, knowing that you're always there to help them in the different stages of whether it's refinancing or whatever. I think there's a lot of value there. So we appreciate that, or I appreciate that definitely.
I feel like the company you work for provides a lot of great tools. But I also feel like that what you personally bring to the table is probably equally or more important than what your company provides. Both are important, but is there something that you do that you feel like sets you apart from others in the marketplace? Why are your customers choosing you?
That's actually a really good question. What sets me apart? So I do, like what you had said before, I do value the relationship, and we work closely with our clients for a couple months, maybe a year or two, depending on, where they are in the process. And I always tell them, I've loved working with you. And then all of a sudden you don't, like we've talked almost every day or emailed, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them or you don't talk to each other anymore. So, right. And I valued that time. So I think I do my best to try to keep in touch with them, whether I try to do like at least 3 client events a year, and not all of them, or I can't always have everyone to all of them, but I try to invite everyone to at least one of them that I've had before as a client or future potential client. And it's a way to just keep that relationship, I think, going. And I think it also shows them I do care about them, which I do, and like to catch up and know what's going on in their lives and their families. And so it's been really fun doing that and keeping keeping in touch with them. And I'm hoping this year, actually, one of my goals is to intentionally reach out to more and just have like lunch or, just to see where they're at, and very like not any sales related anything, just to have that personal touch and, show that I care.
In fact, if you don't ask any real estate questions, all the better. All of a sudden you have so much more credibility in the authenticity of reaching out to them.
Right.
Because it's not business, and they will remember that, and that it was
Right.
just about a relationship. One of the things I think you do exceptionally well is just being you and being the calm, thoughtful you in the way you approach your clients. It's strategic, and it doesn't seem strategic to them, but it's very thought through. That's what I think. So I feel like when your customers meet with you, they feel that you are being true and that you are being genuine. I feel they feel that warmth, and therefore they're attracted to you. And I just think that's who you are. I don't think that's anything you had to like. That's not a skill set you had to learn. That's just who you are.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Anyway.
I will say too, for buyers, back to the adding the value, I do think too, I've had a lot of experiences. You went back to, I was a teacher, right? And then I was a stay-at-home mom, which I loved. But during those times, I had the opportunity to do some flips with my husband, and we built a home in 2003. So, and then my grandparents' house, we built next door in 2010. So I think those different experiences help me with even the buy side. So when I walk into a house and show clients a home, I have a lot of the background of what's going on with this house, with the mechanicals. I am definitely not a licensed electrician or a plumber or anything like that. However, there are things that I can notice and see from just the first on site, from all those experiences, that can kind of protect them if it's maybe not a good option for them before they even have their home inspection, So I feel like that's something else that I can bring to the table just with those varying experiences.
What do you think about home building? You said you and your husband built one.
We did.
And what advice do you give to your clients about that?
So I think, again, expectations. I sorely did not have the best expectations when we built our house. I thought everything was going to be perfect. And I think that's something that I tell all buyers now is no home is perfect, not even a brand new built home. There are so many things that even after we did the final walkthrough and the final walkthrough with the builder and things, there are so many little details as you're living in it that you're realizing that it's not perfect, and that's okay. And to let them know it's okay, but also to just make sure that the things that are important to you, you're paying attention to during those like walkthroughs and things, because nothing's ever going to be 100% perfect. But the things that are important, you want to make sure are good and where you want them to be when you're building. So we had a really good experience with a builder it was kind of semi-custom. We were able to choose a lot of things. And so I love that aspect of it versus some of these larger building subdivisions. Those can be great too, though. It all depends on what the buyer's needs are and what's important to them. So yeah, I've worked with several buyers who've done new construction, and it's worked out well.
Have you ever walked into a house and said, this is not the one for you?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's a lot of times, photos can be misleading. Sometimes I can tell from photos that like, okay, it looks pretty good, but I can tell that it's maybe a little like stale or, not like it just doesn't have the right feel. And so right away walking in, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is not going to be a good fit. Or, and they know too, sometimes even just like not even going in, like just pulling up and like the curb appeal or just, the feel that you get from the outside. And so it's interesting to see, and buyers, we're usually on the same page pretty quickly.
I've got some unknown speed questions for you.
Okay. Oh, it's rapid fire?
Are we doing rapid fire? Yeah, this is fun.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
I might
ready.
even go off the sheet here. We'll see. So if you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
And I had to earn money?
Well, that's a good question.
Because if I didn't have to earn money, I would just travel. I would love to just travel. And with the kids, without the kids, with my husband would be awesome. I think we're looking forward to that, hopefully in retirement, or his retirement. I don't know if I'll ever retire, but what would I do though if I wasn't? I think if I needed a job, I think interior design was like the next phase. I had looked into doing that when I was home with the kids, and I enjoy that aspect of real estate.
That probably serves you well in real estate then.
Yeah, I've never, right. I love it, but I've never,
studied it. Yeah.
Right. Officially.
Favorite way to celebrate after a big win or a closing? What's your favorite way?
I love just going out to dinner with the family or my husband.
Yeah.
I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean up. And yeah.
One of my favorites is that Julie sent me a picture after one of her closings that we had together.
Yeah.
And she and her client were out for ice cream. And I'm like, oh, that's a sweet way to do it. I love that.
Definitely.
Beach vacation or a city getaway?
Ooh, I think it depends. If there's a pool by the beach, I would love that. But I love city too. I love staying in like downtowns where you can just walk to everything. Charleston, we did it. I love that kind of thing where you don't have to Uber or rent a car. You can just, walk everywhere. New York
walkable.
City, even.
Yeah.
Take public transportation. I don't know. I love that type of
I
thing
love
too.
Charleston. Julie and I went there.
But
for
isn't it
her 40th? She loved it. We loved it. It was awesome.
same?
Great city.
It was really, we had a lot of fun there. I would say though, with the vacation beach, like with how busy we are, I love to just like relaxing and doing nothing sometimes too. So I don't know if that's a good answer because I said both, but
That's a great answer. That's a great. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about Julie White?
oh, surprised. That's a good question. I feel like I'm kind of an open book, which is maybe not a good thing, but I still play the trumpet at church every now and then, usually for holidays, which I'm surprised they let us do it, but it's fun. We play the kids. I'll play brass, and my husband plays, and so we play like Christmas for sure, and then sometimes
That's awesome. It's like the Partridge Family.
we're not that good, but it's great. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Yeah, and my dad plays too, which is fun.
Favorite pizza place to order when it's your choice for pizza night?
Ooh, Aurelio's. I
Yeah.
love their like Asiago cheese and sauce, sweet sauce mixture. Yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Julie, thank you for being here
Thanks,
today.
Mike.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thanks for your insight. And I hope that people that do watch this can learn a few little tidbits about our industry.
I appreciate it. Thank
Right.
you, Mike.